Let's start with a question, a real one. Have you ever noticed that the people who really change your life, the ones whose presence just shifts the energy in a room, often don't have the fanciest resume? Think about it. That one person whose advice actually landed, that guide whose words felt like they were speaking directly to your soul. Did you care where they went to college? Did you ask to see their certifications? Or did you just feel something, a sense of trust, a feeling of being profoundly seen? Here's a truth nobody really prepares us for. People don't pay you for your credentials. They pay you for how they feel in your presence. Now, that might sound a little out there, maybe even outrageous, especially when we've spent our entire lives being told the exact opposite. Go to school, get the degree, collect the stamps of approval, climb the ladder. We're taught from day one to wait for permission, to outsource our sense of authority to an institution, a piece of paper, a title. We're conditioned to believe that our value is something we have to earn from the outside world. But what if the most magnetic, transformative, and yes, profitable people in the world operate on a completely different system? What if I told you they never asked for permission? They didn't wait for someone to tell them they were ready. They became the permission. They decided that their lived experience, their journey, their very soul, was the only syllabus they needed. And people didn't just listen. They invested. They paid, not because these people were technically qualified, but because they were undeniably real. The legendary psychologist Carl Jung, a man who explored the deepest corners of the human psyche, had a powerful concept for this. He talked about archetypes, these ancient, universal patterns of energy that live inside every single one of us. You don't have to earn the right to be a healer, a guide, or a rebel. You just have to embody it. And when you do, everything changes. Your presence becomes potent. Your voice carries weight. So in this video, we're going to dive into how you can finally step into that power, how you can get people to joyfully pay you for your unique truth, even if you've never been to a single day of school for it, even if you don't have a string of impressive letters after your name. And you'll definitely want to stick with me until the end, because I'm going to show you exactly how your personal story becomes your ultimate form of credibility, and why that story is infinitely more valuable than any certificate you could ever hang on your wall. Plus, I'll pull back the curtain on the #1 unconscious belief that is secretly sabotaging most heart-led people from ever charging for their true gifts, and exactly how to dismantle it. Let's get one thing straight right from the jump. People are not paying for information anymore. We are drowning in information. It's free. It's everywhere. A quick search can give you 10,000 articles on any topic you can imagine. What people are desperately craving, and what they will happily pay for, is transformation. They pay to feel seen. They pay to feel understood, supported, and guided. They are paying for an experience, an energetic shift within themselves that they can't Google their way into. And here's the kicker. Transformation doesn't require a PhD. It requires clarity. It requires gut-wrenching authenticity. And it requires a deep, human, emotional resonance. That is what makes someone pull out their wallet. Not because you checked all the boxes of being qualified, but because you made them feel something true. Think about it like this. You could be a 28-year-old who clawed your way out of crippling social anxiety, who learned through trial and fire how to regulate your own nervous system and find your voice. And a 50-year-old CEO, someone with all the success in the world, might pay you thousands of dollars to help them find that same inner peace. Why? Because your lived experience is a map. Transformation doesn't care about age, status, or what's on your resume. It follows truth. It follows the raw, undeniable energy of someone who has walked the path themselves. And yet, what do most of us do? We hide that truth. We polish it away. We think, I'm not ready yet. I need one more course. Or the big one, who am I to charge for this? If Carl Jung were here, he'd gently say, that's the wounded ego talking. That's the shadow. And if you don't turn and face that shadow, if you don't fundamentally believe in your own inherent worth, then no business coach, no pricing strategy, no marketing funnel in the world is going to save you. Because people feel your energy long before they ever process your words. This is the key. Energy before evidence. People can sense on a subconscious level if you're ashamed to charge for your work. They can feel it if you're secretly looking to them for validation, waiting for them to crown you as legitimate. Your unconscious mind doesn't lie, and it picks up on everything the ego tries so desperately to conceal. When you carry that energy of apology or insecurity, you're broadcasting doubt. But when you fully embody your message, when your voice carries the actual frequency of your lived truth, it creates a resonance that is magnetic. It's undeniable. That is what people trust. And that is what they are more than willing to pay for. So if you're watching this and a little voice inside is saying, okay, I get it, but how? How do I actually get people to see me as that authority without feeling like a fraud? Good. That question means you are on the verge of a massive shift. Because now, we're going to start exploring the precise mindset shift that turns your story from a source of shame into your greatest magnet. We're going to look at how you can finally find and claim your archetype, so you can stop waiting for the world to give you a permission slip that you never needed in the first place. Before we move on, let me ask you something. And don't answer out loud. Just feel it. Have you ever been in a conversation with someone who didn't have the fanciest job or the most impressive title, but there was something about them that just made you lean in? Their honesty, their presence, the way they told their story, it just hit you, right in the chest. That is the power we are talking about today. That is embodied truth. And that is what the world is secretly begging to pay for. Let's clear something up, once and for all, because this is where so many brilliant people get stuck. Your story is your certification. Every single breakdown, every heartbreak, every burnout, every rock-bottom moment you thought you'd never recover from. Every quiet victory, every late-night journal entry where you finally figured something out. Every single aha moment that changed the course of your life. It all matters. It is all part of the curriculum. The great Carl Jung had a name for this. He called it the individuation process. It's the sacred journey of becoming who you truly are, beneath all the conditioning, all the expectations, and all the masks we wear to survive. And when you choose to walk that path consciously, when you decide to own every chapter of it, your story transforms from a personal history into medicine for other people. But here's the paradox, and it's a big one. Most people are walking around actively disowning their medicine. They look at their past and see a liability, not a license. They're busy hiding the very parts of their journey that make them the most human, the most relatable, and ultimately, the most trustworthy. And that is the single biggest mistake you can make in today's world. Because what builds deep, unshakable trust today isn't a polished exterior. It's a powerful presence. Let me paint you a picture. Imagine two people are offering the exact same kind of guidance. Person 1 stands up and says, "Hi, I have a certificate from the XYZ Academy. I've completed 48 hours of accredited training in this modality." Okay, that's noted. But then person 2 looks you in the eye and says, "I have lived through the exact pain you are feeling right now. I have walked this path. I have been in the dark. I have found my way out. And I am here to walk beside you as you find yours." Who do you trust more? Who do you feel in your gut? The first person might get your attention, but the second one gets your heart. Every single time. Because we are not hiring a robot with a checklist. We are hiring resonance. We are desperately searching for people who have survived the same fires we're in now and have come back with stories that sound like our own. This is exactly why Jung said, "We don't become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious." Your value isn't born from being perfectly trained. It's forged in the fire of your own transformation. That is what creates true emotional credibility. Not a perfect brand, not a flawless script, but the profound act of being a mirror for someone else's struggle and their potential. And this is where so many get it wrong. They think building credibility means faking it till you make it. It means looking the part, dressing a certain way, using corporate jargon, or speaking like a generic motivational speaker. But that strategy only works when you're trying to appeal to someone's head. It completely fails when you're trying to connect with their soul. So please, I want you to let this sink in. Your pain was not a weakness. It was your portal. Your mess is not a flaw. It is your magnet. And your story is not some side note to your professional bio. It is your superpower. The only question is, are you owning it? Or are you still editing your life story so you look more professional? Sit with that for a second. If you treated your entire story like it was sacred, how would you start showing up differently? Now let's go even deeper. Let's talk about something the traditional business world barely whispers about, but that the soul-centered world knows is the absolute core of it all. The people who truly transform lives, the ones who spark real, lasting change, aren't always the most credentialed or educated. They are the ones who have integrated their truth so deeply that they become a living, breathing archetype. They don't just play a role, they embody an energy. They show up as the wise guide, the healer, the rebel, the mentor, the alchemist. And that energetic clarity, that coherence, speaks 1,000 times louder than any sales pitch or marketing campaign ever could. They don't need to prove they are an authority, because you can feel their authority in their presence. And here's the secret sauce. People don't consciously think, I'm going to pay for that archetype. But their unconscious mind does. The unconscious, which drives most of our decisions, responds to frequency, to emotion, to these deep, resonant archetypal patterns. It's why a potential client might say to you, "I don't even know why, but I just had this feeling that I needed to work with you." That is archetypal resonance at work. That is what money, energy, and opportunity are drawn to. So let me ask you, what archetype have you been hiding from? Did life train you to be the healer, to hold space for others with incredible compassion, but you're afraid to claim it because you didn't go to medical school? Have you always had the soul of the rebel, the one who sees what's broken in the system, but you've been toning it down to be more respectable? Do people naturally come to you for clarity, for that dose of grounding truth, but you still dismiss it and think, "Who am I to charge for just talking?" Jung would call this the unintegrated self, The part of you that knows its own power but hasn't yet given itself permission to trust it. But when you finally own your archetype, unapologetically, something magical happens. The need to sell and convince falls away. You stop performing and you start attracting. You become magnetic because the world is starving for what is real. And let's be crystal clear. Every single archetype can earn. Money is not reserved for the strategist or the CEO. Money follows value, and every archetype creates immense value in its own unique way. Let's break a few down. 1. The healer. You don't need to be a therapist. As the healer, your very presence is medicine. You are paid to hold safe, non-judgmental space. Think of coaches, energy workers, grief guides, breathwork facilitators, and somatic practitioners. You earn by helping others regulate their nervous systems and come home to themselves. In a frantic world, people will gladly and gratefully invest in that feeling of emotional safety. 2. The rebel. You are here to challenge the system. You see what's broken long before anyone else does. Rebels earn by creating what doesn't exist yet. You're the one launching the disruptive podcast, the radical new community, the anti-hustle business model. You say no more, and then you build a better what if. People pay rebels because they trust them to lead the revolutions, big and small. 3. The wise guide, or the sage. You are a source of profound clarity. You can see the big picture and offer truth that cuts through all the noise. You earn by simplifying complexity, offering frameworks, philosophies, and mentorship that help people make sense of their lives. This could be through a YouTube channel, a book, a course, or a high-level mastermind. People invest heavily in your perspective. 4. The lover, or the empath. You are heart-centered to your core. Your currency is compassion and connection. You guide others through their most vulnerable transitions, whether it's in relationships, parenting, or inner child work. In a world that often feels cold and disconnected, people will pay to feel safe, seen, and soothed by your warmth. 5. The creator, or the artist. You don't just make things, you transmit soul. Creators monetize their unique vision through visual art, storytelling, music, design, or even intuitive branding. You help people feel something. You help them feel alive. And that feeling is priceless. Never forget that beauty heals and beauty sells. 6. The alchemist, or the mystic. You bridge the seen and the unseen worlds. From spiritual teachers to intuitive business coaches to tarot readers, the alchemist earns by translating energy into tangible clarity. You give shape to mystery, you lead rituals and ceremonies, you offer spiritual frameworks that help people connect to something larger than themselves. Spiritual work has immense value, and it is worthy of immense compensation. The point of all this is simple. You don't need to become someone else to get paid. You need to become more of who you already are. Every archetype has a clear pathway to prosperity, but that path only opens up when you stop disowning your design. When you claim it unapologetically, your audience, your clients, your community can finally recognize you as the one they've been searching for. Not an expert, not a guru, but a mirror. But even after all this, even when you know your story and you've claimed your archetype, there's one final, massive inner block that stops most people dead in their tracks from ever stepping into this truth. It's our relationship with the one thing that makes it all sustainable, money itself. And in the next part, we're going to tackle it head-on. Here's what no one tells you when you're on a path of service, spirituality, or healing. Even when you've done the deep work, owned your story, and claimed your archetype, There is a final giant that stands in the way for so many, and that is our deep, complicated, and often painful relationship with money itself. If you subconsciously believe that asking for money makes you greedy, if you carry a secret pocket of guilt every time someone pays you, if your nervous system physically tightens up every single time you have to state your rates out loud, then people will feel that. It's not because you're saying anything wrong. You could have the most polished professional script in the world. But energy does not lie. Remember what Carl Jung said: the unconscious is always communicating, even when the mouth is not. So when you are carrying unhealed shame and apology around being paid for your work, it leaks out. It seeps into your posture, your tone of voice, your marketing emails, the boundaries you set or fail to set, and your fundamental ability to receive with grace. And on an unconscious level, people respond to that shaky energy. They will either mirror your doubt back to you with endless questions and hesitation, or they will simply disappear, often without either of you knowing why. So let's name the root of this. Let's pull it out into the light. Most of us were raised in systems that taught us a very specific and damaging set of rules. Do good work, but don't you dare profit from it. Be humble, which often gets twisted into meaning be poor. Money is for business people, not for healers, artists, or guides. And the big one: if it's truly spiritual, it should be free. But I need you to understand that these are not universal truths. They are inherited stories. They are programs that were handed down by systems that, frankly, benefit when powerful, intuitive, heart-led people like you stay small, stay struggling, and stay quiet. Now let's flip that script. Let's install a new operating system right here, right now. I want you to imagine this. Every single time someone pays you, it is not a transaction. It is an act of transformation for them, too. They are not just buying your time. They are investing in becoming more of themselves. They are sending a signal to the universe that they are ready for their own growth. They are honoring their own healing. They are committing with energy to their own evolution. And you, through your unique gift, are the one holding the sacred mirror for them. When you receive money with integrity and an open heart, you are not taking anything from them. You are circulating energy. You are participating in a divine flow. You are allowing your own cup to be filled so that you can continue to pour into others from a place of sustainability and joy. Because what really happens when you can't pay your bills, but you're still expected to show up and help others heal? You become resentful. You become exhausted. You burn out. You become disconnected from the very joy of your gift that made it so powerful in the first place. And let me tell you, a burnt-out healer serves no one. But when you are nourished, when your needs are met, when your work is honored with a beautiful exchange of energy, when you feel truly valued for the transformation you facilitate, you show up brighter. You create on a deeper level. You give from a place of genuine overflow, not from a place of scraping by on obligation. That is what changes families and communities. That is what creates new, healing economies based on real value. That is what makes heart-led entrepreneurship a revolutionary act. This was never about chasing money for the sake of having more. This is about aligning your energy so that money becomes a natural, beautiful extension of your purpose. So I want you to ask yourself right now, what old, inherited, dusty belief about money are you finally ready to let go of? And what new, empowering truth are you willing to step into? Because here is the reframe I want to offer you today. Getting paid for your gifts isn't selfish. It's sacred. Earning from your soul's work isn't dirty. It's divine. Your worth is not up for negotiation. It is encoded in the very fabric of your being. You don't need to hustle harder. You don't need to beg or convince. You just need to stop apologizing for the space you take up in the world. You need to stop asking for permission to exist and to be compensated for the unique magic you bring. This entire journey, from the first minute of this video until now, has been about one thing: reclaiming your inner authority. It's about realizing that your credentials are your life story. It's about understanding that your power lies in embodying your true archetype. And it's about healing your relationship with receiving so you can be a sustainable force for good in the world. If this video spoke to your soul, if it felt like a permission slip you've been waiting for your whole life, please share it with one other person who is still waiting for their own. And as an affirmation to yourself, as a declaration to the universe, drop this in the comments right now. I am ready to be paid for being fully myself. Or write your own version, something that feels true in your body, something your future self will thank you for claiming today. Finally, if you are ready to keep evolving, to keep exploring this kind of transformational, soul-based content that bridges the inner work with the outer world, make sure you subscribe. This space is all about waking up, owning your truth, and rewriting the story of worth and value from the inside out. Because the world doesn't need more professionals hiding behind their certificates. It needs more people who remember who they are and who charge accordingly. You are allowed to be seen. You are allowed to be supported. And you are allowed to be paid. Now go be who you are. The world is waiting.